some of the chapters have started their own 5Ks. NSPRA has had one for a long time. They give out medals. Extra way to go, NSPRA. They do things big there.
They do.
Way.
They should give out belt buckles instead.
We are surrounded by content. Content shapes who we follow, how we lead, what we buy, and even what we believe. Welcome to the Content Generation Podcast, a class intercom production where we focus on the stories that come to life in schools all over the world. We highlight the students, educators, and communities who share the content that shapes our future. Well, welcome back to the Content Generation Podcast. Jill, I'm excited. This is one of your good friends. I know you've spent a lot of time with, especially in the last year or two. Cathy Kedjidjian has been all over school PR and has an awesome story about her history. So tell me, where have you been spending some time with Cathy lately?
I feel like we've been everywhere. I see her more than I see my own family members sometimes, but we've been recently Chicago, Texas, Leavenworth, Washington was fantastic for a few days. Framingham, Massachusetts for New England NSPRA. So just everywhere. Yeah.
Awesome. So, she shared with us a bit about her history in school PR, how she got started in school PR, which I think is a really awesome story. But Jill, I would just love to hear, what that perspective has been for you to get to see her relationship with other people in school PR and the way that she supports them.
Yeah, she's just been an incredible inspiration to anyone who listens to her. So as she's traveled across the country this year as the NSPRA President, I just know how inspiring she's been to people, whether it's to go get their APR or to take up running or yoga. She makes you want to be a better person. But that doesn't mean to go over the top or expend yourself or push yourself beyond your limits. It's about finding that balance. And that's been my biggest takeaway from her, is really figuring out how can we do really good work, but find that balance in our personal and professional lives.
I love the way you summed that up. And it's a beautiful intro to this podcast with Cathy.
We're excited to welcome you back to the Content Generation Podcast. I am joined with Cathy Kedjidjian. We've gotten to know each other a little bit this last year as she's been making the circuit around all of the SPRAs. Is it okay for me to call it the SPRAs? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I think that is the thing.
Well, Cathy, you have been making the rounds, and it's been fun to cross paths with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Ben. I'm excited to be here. Well, this isn't a SPRA, but it's part of the round, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for making the rounds. In your current role, you're really supporting so many of the state SPRAs, but you're also, really elevating NSPRA as a whole, and really the role of school communications. So your current role is kind of widely ranging. How would you describe what you've been doing the last year, especially?
It has been so fun to be leading the executive board of NSPRA, the best of school communications people who care about our organization and our members and our profession. And we have worked together, like you said, to elevate and celebrate school PR. And I kind of think of my job as, the chief celebration officer of NSPRA, along with our executive director, Barbara Hunter. And, I'm in this role as president of NSPRA because of the work of previous boards. I was previously on the NSPRA board in a vice president at large role. And one of the last things that the board I was on at the time did was hire Barbara Hunter as the executive director. And the board that continued the work the following year, it was during COVID that Barbara was hired. And so that board was working virtually together and working really hard to develop the NSPRA strategic plan. And that plan is a masterpiece of what a strategic plan for an organization should be. And I wanted to be a part of it. So I had rolled off the board, and I saw the opportunity to come back and help lead and continue to guide the strategic plan and honor the input that members had given to develop that plan, and honor the incredibly hard work of the board that created that plan. And it has been pretty magical to watch it grow and unfold, and the impact on NSPRA and on members and on our school PR community.
Well, I want to thank you because I have definitely seen a noticeable impact in the last several years of NSPRA really growing and rising to the occasion and elevating that role of school communications. But before we really talk about where that's at, I want to understand, how did you get into school PR? What did that look like for you as a career trajectory? How did you end up here?
And I love to talk about this, and I love to hear this story from other NSPRA members, because, while there are pockets of, journalists who came to school PR and teachers who jumped into the school PR role, many of us come from so many different backgrounds. And my background is a varied one. My degree is in marketing and advertising from Indiana University. And right out of school, I worked for a benefits consulting firm, Hewitt Associates, doing benefits communication. And something that I am passionate about and present on now, 30 years later, is on internal communications and supporting staff health and wellness. And, that's kind of where my career started. But between college and that first job and jumping into school PR, I did a lot of freelance work and a lot on health and wellness. I did some political campaign work, which, as school PR friends know, has been a fair part, navigating the political process is a fair part of what we've been doing, particularly through COVID and the aftershocks of COVID. And in that time, while I was freelancing, I had 3 kids, and I was working mostly from home here and there. So I had time to volunteer at my kids' school, and was on the PTO and PTO leadership, and was helping out my kids' principals in their communication and getting to know district leadership. And I said to the superintendent, wow, the principals really have a lot on their plate. They shouldn't be tasked with so much communication. Somebody who's a professional at it should be doing that. And the superintendent at the time, who is near and dear to my heart, laughed and said, that is a job. We just don't have that role in our district right now. There's some reorganization that's coming up. So I'd like you to take a look at NSPRA and NSPRA, learn a little bit about what that job is, and just stay in touch. And when they opened up that role, I interviewed and got the job and launched that position in my previous district, and was there for 8 years, and then had the opportunity to move here to Glenview District 34. We're a preschool through 8th grade district in the north suburbs of Chicago, and couldn't be happier with where I am now. It's a really diverse district. 62 languages spoken in the homes of our students, needs for support, diverse culturally, socioeconomically. It's really great to be at a place where, we're a microcosm of the world.
Well, that's a fantastic story. When I think about where you've come from, I love that you recognize the opportunity and the need for the position before you had the job. I love that part of it. I want to ask you a little bit about communicating benefits. We sort of have that, it sort of feels like an episode of The Office every year when we have to communicate benefits, right? Where we have to sort of illustrate that this is a positive. What did that sort of teach you about essentially selling benefits, right, to staff and employees and getting that engagement? Seems like an amazing background to be able to say, It's a really hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to make it exciting. It's a hard thing to get people engaged. It's a hard thing to essentially sell the benefits over, rising healthcare costs and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah. And certainly, in a school district setting where, the price is often dictated by the contract. And,
Right.
sometimes there's not a lot of control over those prices or the options that are available. But, that's also a huge recruiting piece. So you
Yeah.
do want, in communications, as you're working with HR to develop your, recruiting messaging, you do want to understand the benefits, and it's dry. And sometimes it's complicated. So I'm thankful for that background, to be able to understand the value of benefits to, a whole benefits package, not just healthcare benefits. And one
Right.
thing, again, thank you, COVID, one thing that has come to the forefront are the mental health and wellness benefits that are available that, maybe before 2020 would sit on a shelf or, in a Google Drive folder, and the HR or benefits team wouldn't think to put it out there. And now it's May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we have a big push for staff to understand their mental health benefits. And we have an employee assistance program that is available 24/7. It's free to all employees. And we do a lot to promote that. And, we do that throughout the year. We have our hashtag BeWell34 wellness initiative that is something that is kind of ingrained in our culture here. But we do take opportunities like May, Mental Health Awareness Month, and in October, there is, Mental Health Awareness Day. And we take those opportunities to communicate those benefits that we know that our staff really need to understand that they have access to and take advantage of it.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned 62 different languages spoken in Glenbrook, widely diverse school district, suburbs of Chicago. You've got a lot of things going on from a communications perspective to be able to source all of those different points of view. How have you been able to stay on top of all of those different points of view, the points of view of your community, the different audiences you're reaching, but also the different stories that are told there? What's been the secret to being able to get good communications in your district?
It is all about relationships. And yes, we have the tools, and we value the partners that provide us the tools and services to help us connect with our community. But I feel like in my role, the way I kind of approach my role is I am the friend of the community. And I want to be able to go to a board meeting, go to a community resource fair, a community event, and be able to walk into a room and feel like they're my friends. And I kind of approach my NSPRA role in that way too. And that's part of why, visiting our chapters has been so fun, because I walk into a room of friends, and to be able to have conversations with families, and they recognize me, because when I send out emails from the district, it's from me, and they know that I'm always the good first place to start as a resource. I don't have all the answers, but they know I'm going to find the answers for them. So, I'm recognizable in the community. I'm approachable. I know that, if I get an email, I'm going to respond, because they count on me for just being their connection to the district.
Fantastic. Now, one of the traditions we've found through NSPRA, and as we've traveled and been in some of the same destinations, we haven't run together yet, but you usually are leading the running team in every destination we find. You mentioned that it's Mental Health Month. At our house, different sorts of workouts, whether that's biking or, whatever it is, exercise has been a big part of mental health at our house. How's that been a part of your travel experience, as well as, connecting with folks for your own wellness?
Yeah. I would not be able to do what I do in Glenview or with NSPRA, or, be the wife, parent, friend, to my, home community, without my running, biking, swimming, yoga, and meditation. And a couple of those, 2 or 3 of those every day. So the K-12 PR Fit and K-12 PR 5K runs grew organically out of, I think it was Chicago in 2016 when, I run. I get up and run. That's how I see cities when I'm visiting. It's how I experience, different parts of wherever it is I am. So at that seminar, I said, I'm getting up and running. And we had our K-12 PR Chat Twitter presence. And so I made up K-12 PR Fit. Hey, 5:30 in the lobby, come on and meet me and let's go for a run. And a few of us did. And it kind of grew from there. And every year it would be a few more people. And in DC in 2019, we launched the K-12 PR 5K, and we got shirts, and the purchase of the shirts benefited the K-12 PR Chat Scholarship through the NSPRA Foundation. And we had a huge crowd and a great run. I remember running by the National Cathedral, and it was just amazing. And it's been great going to our chapters and running with new people, but also from those seminar runs, some of the chapters have started their own 5Ks. NSPRA has had one for a long time, and that was a whole lot of fun to be a part of that. They give out medals. Extra way to go, NSPRA. They do things big there.
They do.
Way.
They should give out belt buckles instead.
Yeah, we'll talk to Craig Hurley, NSPRA member, who has organized that for years and put on a good show in February. But CalSPRA launched their first K-12 PR 5K this year. Yeah. And I got to, run in San Diego along the water, and it was beautiful and fun, and met new people and had some great connections. In June in Flagstaff, Arizona, NSPRA is going to be having their inaugural K-12 PR 5K, and I think Class Intercom is involved in that, right?
Yes, we are. We're excited about that. And no, it's been a great, I think that's one of the things when you surround yourselves with good people. Jill and I were talking about this, where she says, "Hey, I'm running because Cathy's running, and I've got to put in some miles." I ran yesterday. One of our team members was telling me she ran a close to a 9-minute mile in the airport to catch a flight, and I said, "Well, I don't know if I can do that in Birkenstocks." And she had a handbag, and I was like, "I don't know if I can do that, but like, let's see." So I was sending some of my times yesterday off of my Apple Watch, saying, "Well, I don't know if I could do it in Birkenstocks, but maybe in running shoes." So, but no,
training for a seminar when the travel curse is in full action every year. Somehow travel is difficult. So let's make K-12 PR 5K is your training to get home from NSPRA seminar when travel is hard.
Right. No, well, I think it's fantastic. You're sort of educating us on triathlons, but by being next to you, right? We're all sort of thinking about health and our own wellness in different ways, and so I appreciate your leadership in that, and plus your energy. Being at all of these events is inspiring for all of us too, to just see, hey, that this doesn't happen without some discipline in that, and finding the ways that you're bringing that to the table is encouraging to me, and I'm sure to a lot of others too.
All right, I'll make sure there's no backing out now. We're running together.
All right. We'll find some time to do that. Also, I want to understand a little bit, as you're seeing the landscape of school PR. I think this is an area that we're seeing more people coming into the industry, just like you did, right? There's more people who are recognizing the need at their school district, and superintendents and school boards are recognizing that they need professionals to communicate. How are you seeing the growth in this industry, in this profession?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Whenever I'm at a chapter and, the chapter leader is speaking to the folks at the conference and, in the room saying, who's a new member, this is their first time at a conference. And, sometimes it's half the room that's raising their hand. And across the board, the numbers are huge of new members. Now, some of that, and that we're seeing that with NSPRA as well, where we have continued record-breaking growth in our membership and seminar attendance. So we're seeing that chapter level, national level, across the board. Now, and membership is growing. The numbers are up and up and up, but part of the reason there are so many new members also is because there's some churn and burn in school PR. And so when, I talk about mental health and sharing those messages with, our teachers and staff in our districts, you have to listen to that advice too in school PR and take care of yourself. It's hard. This job it's really challenging. It's draining. It's a job of the heart, and all of those jobs take something out of you. And so you have to be able to fill your bucket as well. But we are losing members, to other industries. And, we hope that maybe some of them will see that, they're, that exhaustion maybe wasn't as bad, and we'll get them back.
When you say it's about the heart and you have to fill your bucket, what are the things that have helped fill your bucket over the years in school PR and kept you coming back to that?
Yeah, you talked earlier about how do you get the stories, and it is just going out and getting the stories of the students and the teachers and watching that unfold, sitting in a classroom and just watching the student-teacher relationships, watching those aha moments of students, watching, the parents who are so giving and the volunteers in our community, and watching a whole community come together. And, certainly the privilege of being able to tell those stories and sometimes be a part of those stories is definitely a bucket filler. But, also taking time for family and for friends. And again, I'm fortunate that with NSPRA, I go to chapters, and those are my friends and my school PR family. So, while I am a little tired from travels and from my daily work here in District 34, I am so energized by being able to be with my friends.
That's a great testament to why NSPRA, but also, how important that role is to be connected to other people. I want to lean into that for a moment because many of the school PR folks that I'm friends with are in a situation where they're the only school PR person in their district, in their building, and it's oftentimes isolating. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. And I am fortunate that I have a teammate in District 34. Melanie Newman is an incredibly talented communication specialist and fun. So we have a great time together, but I have been a one-person shop. And I could not have done that job. And, a lot of people don't understand in your district, when you're the only one who does what you do. A lot of people are like, well, what actually do you do besides, write emails and back in the day, snow days, you're the one who helps communicate snow days. So, to get out of that isolation, you find the people who do what you do. And I found my friends through K-12 PR Chat on Twitter, and we, help each other out. I know that I have resources that I can turn to within a minute and get a response. Hey, do you have any messaging for a situation like this? Hey, I know you went through this situation. How did you navigate that with your superintendent, with your community? Hey, here's an idea I have. Can you give me some feedback? And I have my APR because a few of us went through it together, and those who went through the APR process ahead of us really helped guide us and gave input. So, we found our friends, we found our group, and with technology, you don't need to worry about those boundaries of location. I don't need somebody in my office to get some advice that I really need.
That's awesome. No, I think that's such a value for being a part of an association, but formal, informal, just being able to reach out to people and not be alone. Those messages are so hard and so lonely a lot of times. It's very hard to craft that on your own island. So as you're seeing the growth of this profession, you're seeing a challenging profession that's facing maybe new challenges. As we think of the last few years, we've had a lot of things emerge, pandemic, things that we didn't think we would be communicating about. I was at TSPRA, the week before things shut down. We were having some conversations informally that I'll never forget, sitting at a round table and saying, hey, is anybody talking about this at the conference? And they said, not yet, but our table just sort of commandeered that session and just kind of over lunch said, how are we going to communicate about this if something bigger happens? And none of us thought we'd be in this situation. But as we're looking, kind of past that to the next phase of communication, what are you seeing nationwide as changing, emerging trends in communications for schools? What do you think's happening, and where do you think we're headed?
Oh boy, that is a big picture question. I think that accessibility is going to continue to be a huge focus, and that means ADA compliance with all the tools that you use to communicate, and being very mindful that if you do have many tools in your tool belt, that they all work together in an accessible way. Again, in District 34, accessibility means language compliance, and we do a lot of work to make sure that our tools are translatable, or that we have the resources for in-person meetings for interpreter translators to connect with our families. So that's going to continue to break down those barriers. It's really cool to be able to communicate out in English to a family, and they respond in their language, and we're really communicating. It's happening in my personal life as well. My oldest daughter is engaged, and she will be getting married in India sometime probably in 2024, and her future husband's family doesn't speak much English. And so we communicate through WhatsApp where, we can communicate. I just got to wish her future mother-in-law a happy birthday, and we went back and forth a little bit. So, we're seeing it in our everyday lives. And the more we can do in schools to model that, and to set the stage for that kind of world view for our students and their families, we're doing a lot just beyond sending emails and posting on social media. We're making connections with how they are going to be living their lives.
I love that story, and I love the vision for seeing not just that we communicate in other places, but that it impacts people and lives and relationships. Cathy, you are coming to the end of your NSPRA presidency soon. What do things look like for you winding out of that and going forward? What does that look like next?
It's kind of exciting and a perfect fit for me. So my title here in District 34 is Executive Director of Communications and Strategic Planning. And when I started here in Glenview in 2018 was the launch of the first strategic planning process in this district in many, many years, maybe decades. And it was a thorough process and it was really exciting. And that strategic planning process in District 34 has transformed our district. The things that have happened in this district because of that strategic planning process, mirror what I was talking about with NSPRA and how it's transformed and is just exploding the growth of our association. So when I roll off the board officially, we'll have at seminar in St. Louis in July, we'll have our ceremonial turnover where Trent Allen, our president-elect, will kind of take the gavel at the closing luncheon. But the official end of my term is October 1st. And that will be the launch of our next strategic planning process in District 34. So our current strategic plan ends at the end of next year. So next year will be the process of reviewing the old plan and engaging the community again in our new strategic plan. So the timing worked out great because I know that will be a lot of time and joy in District 34. So this year I was able to be available to do some SPRA jumping. And then we'll be able to fill my time next year. I've been lucky that my boss and my leadership team has understood my time away, and it's been a good lesson in what's really important. What are our priorities? What needs to get done? Melanie has stepped up and has done so much and really led some communication efforts. So that's been great to see. But some of the things that, maybe didn't need to be done will kind of fall by the wayside because of this process. And that will play out in strategic planning too.
That's awesome. Well, Cathy, I will never forget the first time we really met was over celebrity press conference charades at the president's conference. And I thought, I don't know where I am, but I love these people. For anybody not familiar, hopefully we can play this charades game sometime soon where we have to pretend to be a celebrity, but we don't know who it is, which was a fantastic shenanigan. And Cathy, it's been really fun to get to know you this past year and really get to see the transformation you're making in leadership for so many people around the country. So thank you so much for joining with us today.
Thanks, Ben. I can't wait to see you soon.